Philips has a long-standing reputation for groundbreaking innovation in audio and video technology. They're pioneers in both music media and the hardware needed to play it. The company is always looking to keep ahead of trends and make new products that appeal to people who embrace the latest technologies, what's known as the plugged-in generation. The challenge for Philips Design is coming up with solutions which creatively link technology and user experience. In the past, the design strategy was to come up with a concept or even a prototype before testing it on likely users. At Philips, they've turned this strategy on its head.
What has changed is really trying to look at users at the earliest stage as possible, so even before you have come up with any concept, any idea, so to give the direction more towards what people would want.
What we were trying to do is combine both the research and the design field. So we were basically creating scenarios which are validated in real life.
Maybe it's good to say that we don't call this user research as such, but it's really, we call it people research, because it's not about users yet.
We are really looking into going into the field and interviewing real people and getting their needs and values understood and bringing that into the design process so that we are actually basing those scenarios on ethnographic data or real data. And that seems to be working quite well, because you're not sort of inventing a character, but you are actually, you have a hook on a context and on reality, which makes the design very rich. And instead of sort of just sending them a questionnaire beforehand, we wanted to involve them much more in a more creative way. So we spent quite a lot of time designing these books that were going to be sent into the field, and for them to have as homework pieces. And we constructed them in a way that they were quite beautifully designed and inspiring. This is coming from cultural probes theory, which was done very much some time ago, so it isn't new. But what is new, I think, it's a combination of sending this into the field and then going and interviewing these people and using the books to be able to understand the values and the needs of the people. We wanted them to make a self-portrait that really explains who they are, and then explain why they've taken that portrait in that situation, what they were wearing. And he says, the clothes that I'm wearing, vest and shorts, make me feel comfortable. The portrait has deliberately been taken outside because I am at my happiest when I'm outdoors. And just this is much more than fiction, because when you're a designer and you come back and you want to do a project on plug-ins, which is this market segment, you will take Gareth into your workshop, and it will just give it so much more depth, because there is a person behind. There's a lot being said about the way he is and his expression, so it just makes the whole design process much more valid somehow. One of the things that we asked them to do was to draw themselves. We thought that was an interesting way of explaining a bit of how they see themselves. And one of the tasks was to take this puppet, we call it the puppet, into their everyday life and take pictures of the puppet in their office environment or where they went, and to kind of tell us what were the 6 places that they valued in their day. And then basically they just took the puppet with them. And what was important was not only that they've drawn themselves, but also that the way they were explaining the importance of that place. He's a weightlifter, which is interesting. There's loads of things coming out of this in terms of well-being and his image and what he feels is important. And his car, obviously, brand is very important for him, and the car that he's driving. This was very interesting. This is his stereo. We never thought people would take photos of technology, and it's very revealing to see that. So you have 2 poles and people thinking about 2 opposite things, like studying is important for personal development, or there is no need to study, life is a university. And they had to place themselves in scale. And these were drawn from values and needs which are important. So the first one was about their personal development. The second one was about spirituality and kind of wellness. The third one was about socialization, and the fourth one is about entertainment. And we just wanted to find out what they valued. And by doing this, you can also compare them and come back from the field and look at how people relate to these issues. From the market segmentation, it said that plugins are materialistic, but we wanted to find out how materialistic they were. So we gave them some money in stickers, and we asked them to place the stickers in different places. So buying your dream sailboat or paying for education, and then we can really understand how they will use their money. Once you have gone to the field and done field work and research about people, it might be from previous projects or you might actually do it from scratch. You come back with that data, you create a persona, a character, and then you use that character to identify needs and values in relation to a problem. As an example, we were using this to come up with new products for audio. So we wanted to understand people's relationship with music and people from different ages. So we developed 12 personas from wide age group from 5 months old to a 63-year-old lady. And we wanted to sort of identify what were the important things in their life. In terms of the storyboard, what we'd like to do is, instead of showing someone using a product in time, like in one moment in time, we tend to think about that person through the day. And that's when maybe experience design comes in, because it's about looking at different moments of that experience, not only at a single event. Andres is a sort of young 18-year-old Spanish boy, and he would very much use music for his own identity. His interest was not so much on listening to music, but keeping up with the latest trends and showing off and being on top of it. And in the needs brainstorm, we identified that what he wanted to do is gather as much data in terms of music and visuals and everything that he could about the latest things around, and use that to create his identity. So we came up with a service called Brand Fusion, in which includes a device that would enable him to collect images and sound and project that either into a t-shirt or trainers or in his headset. So the solution was basically something that he could carry with him, very much like a Walkman, that he would be walking around the university and he would display the latest visuals that he had gathered, or his latest creation. It could be a mixture of audio and visuals. So it goes beyond the audio only to something that he can actually use for his own brand. That's why we call it Brand DJ or Brand Fusion. It's just a way of expressing who he is. So he's recognized by his friends as being this person that knows very much about trends and fashion. After doing that for each character, we had quite a broad spectrum of 12 different solutions, and then we clustered them and we came up with a strategy for Philips Audio within 4 and 5 years from now, on how we think they should develop their audio products. So it wasn't about the solution in the end, it was a strategy job.